This is the Jerry Callahan Show.
All right, Ironhead, I'm officially aroused this morning. Yes, I am like Chris Matthews. I have a thrill up my leg. What a day. What a morning. There is chaos in the White House right now. There's chaos in the Democrat Party. There is chaos in the mainstream media. The stuff has hit the fan. Breaking news. We'll start with the breaking news. The big boy press conference has been pushed back an hour. Joe Biden was scheduled to make his first solo press conference in 8 months at 5:30 this afternoon, which to me was a little late. As we know, he only works from 10 to 4. So I don't know. Maybe he was going to take an extra long nap. Well, now it's 6:30, and probably any minute now it'll be 7:30, or maybe even canceled. Then what? I think everybody knows this is a huge moment. If Joe Biden comes out today in this solo press conference and falls on his face like he did in the debate, it's over. I think already the dam is breaking, the ship is sinking. If he doesn't hit it out of the park, I mean, if he doesn't exceed expectations in this press conference, it's not going to be pretty. They are going to come after him from all directions and demand he voluntarily step down. Now, we know that's unlikely because Jill Biden does not want to give up the power. Hunter Biden does not want to give up the money. And Joe Biden is a stubborn, mean, nasty narcissist who will dig in his heels and say he ain't going anywhere. He's already said he's not going anywhere. They just don't want to hear that. An amazing revelation this morning. One of the first things I saw this morning, Morning Joe Scarborough, says Joe Biden knows Barack Obama is the man behind this insurrection, behind this revolt. Keep in mind, Barack Obama and Joe Biden pretend to be friends. Hell, they pretended to be best friends 5 years ago. Can you throw that up on the screen? This is one of the funniest tweets from Joe Biden. If you don't recall, 5 years ago, I didn't even know there was a thing. Best Friends Day. There it is. This is from 5 years ago. On Best Friends Day. Happy Best Friends Day to my friend Barack Obama. And it's a picture of a bracelet that says Joe and Barack. This is from a grown man. Hell, at this point, he was 76 years old. And he's tweeting out a picture of a little bracelet and saying, Happy Best Friends Day to Barack Obama. Now, I find it funny. I'm guessing insiders, people in Barack's world and Biden's world, find it utterly hilarious. They know they're not friends. They know they don't like each other. They know they resent each other. And they know now, today, on this Thursday morning, they know Barack Obama is leading this uprising in the Democrat Party to remove Joe Biden from the ticket, to get the old man to shuffle off the stage once and for all. How do we know this? Morning Joe is Joe Biden's favorite show. He admits he watches it every day. He called in the other day. Joe Biden and Joe Scarborough, those are the real best friends. Those two guys love each other. We played you a million clips of Joe Scarborough fawning over Joe Biden. Hell, when Mika asked a couple of tough questions, she got the dirty look from her husband, who was sitting next to her, who didn't want to rough up Joe Biden. That was telling. This morning is explosive. Let's listen to Scarborough explain what Joe Biden knows about this movement to remove him. And I would say the biggest defection so far is George Clooney. And as we talked about yesterday, George Clooney penned an op-ed for the New York Times saying Joe must go. This is huge, because George Clooney is buddies with Barack Obama. They hang out together. They go out on yachts on Lake Como in Italy together. They're tight. There is no way George Clooney did that without the express approval of Barack Obama. Now, today, Listen to what Scarborough has to say. Go ahead.
Let's say one thing that we do have to underline here, just so viewers can follow what's going on behind the scenes, is the Biden campaign and many Democratic officials do believe that Barack Obama is quietly working behind the scenes to orchestrate this.
Insane.
Wow. Barack Obama is quietly working behind the scenes. The former president is quietly working behind the scenes to remove his former vice president, the current sitting president, from power. I'm sorry. This is a bombshell. This is unprecedented. This is historic. And Joe Biden is fighting for his life. He's doing a press conference, which he never does, in an attempt to salvage his presidency while his best buddy and his former running mate is working behind the scenes to cut his legs out from under him. I don't know how the media is going to handle this. Generally, the media, they do what they can to protect Joe Biden, but they love Barack Obama. And they know at this point, Joe Biden can't beat Donald Trump. He can't, unless there's widespread cheating. There's a good chance of that. But they know if this election is on the level, their guy is going down, and evil, awful orange Hitler is going back to the White House. I can't imagine the panic right now in the New York Times newsroom, at CNN, at MSNBC. Already, these people have gone off the rails. Joy Reid and Chris Hayes and Rachel Maddow and Jake Tapper and the rest of them. Now they know their two favorite people are at odds. They know Barack Obama is trying to depose Joe Biden. This is so nuts right now. This is so crazy. And all the pressure in the world is on Joe Biden today when he's going to take the stage, take to the podium, and take questions from a hostile media. He's done a few press conferences, not lately, not in the last 8 months, but generally when he does a press conference, he's essentially standing in front of his campaign staff. He's standing in front of his supporters. That has all changed since the debate. They know that their guy, Joe Biden, can't beat Trump. So they've turned, as we've chronicled for the last 12 days. Since the debate, they've turned on him. And there's something really revealing. They're not even hiding it. All the Obama loyalists, all the Obama people have said, Joe must go. The David Axelrod, the Pod Save America guys have all turned on him. And Clooney is one of them. Clooney's an Obama guy. He's not a Biden guy. Clooney held a fundraiser 3 weeks ago and raised $30 million for Joe Biden's reelection. And he knew that day that Joe Biden wasn't really viable, really functional. And he waited 3 weeks to do what he did in the New York Times, to essentially undercut Joe Biden. He knew, they knew, Axelrod knew, Obama knew, and they were hoping that Biden would survive the debate. He didn't. He drowned in that debate. So now they're all saying, we have to make a change. They don't explicitly say what the change would be. I assume it would be Kamala Harris, top of the ticket, which is hilarious. That's how bad it is right now. They would prefer cackling Kamala over Joe Biden, or should I say the empty husk of a man that is attempting to win re-election. They know their guy can't do it. After 2, 3, 4 years of lying about him, of gaslighting the country, they're now coming around to the realization, to what we've been saying for years, that Joe Biden can't do it. He can't do the job. He can't campaign. He can't do the toughest job in the world. We knew it. Anyone with eyes knew it, and they were hoping they could pull it off. This is the biggest cover-up in American political history. They were trying to cover up the fact that the president is incapacitated, is unable to, is unfit for the office. Physically, mentally, he can't do it. and they know it. And they know they're going to lose unless they can shove the old man off the stage. Unfortunately for them, he's not the type to just give up power and go off. He is going to rage against the dying of the light like no one we've ever seen. I guess they could try to make a deal, pay him, do something. But unless he has a real physical or mental breakdown, unless the condition he's in, the Parkinson's, the dementia, gets exponentially worse in the next few weeks, I don't see how Joe Biden just steps aside. I mean, we are looking at a real catastrophe politically. He has to go to the convention in a month. He has to make a speech. He has to campaign. He can't do any of that. Hell, we're going to see today, I think, that he will struggle. And in a simple press conference, which presidents do all the time, not this one, but most presidents do all the time. Obama did it. Trump did it. Biden has to do it today, and he has to do it to the satisfaction of the people essentially running the White House, running the country, Barack Obama and his crew. And if he doesn't, I mean, I can't even imagine. Tonight, tomorrow, the weekend, the Sunday shows, they're all going to be saying what the Obama people said. Now, here's what you have to understand. The guys on Pod Save America, the guy we're looking at right now, Jon Favreau, David Axelrod, they don't speak without talking to Obama. They don't speak without knowing what Barack Obama wants. And they're holding nothing back. They're saying, this guy's done. They sound like Sean Hannity. They sound like Rob Schmidt on Newsmax. They're saying he is done. He is toast. Listen to this. This is Jon Favreau, one of the Pod Save America guys, died in the wool Democrats, Trump haters, people who've been telling you Joe Biden is the man for 3 years now, saying he can do the job. They're out. It's over. Listen.
Exactly what I was going to ask John about, because John, you were at that fundraiser as well. I don't know if you spent as much time with President Biden as George Clooney did, since he was one of the hosts, but I'm totally with you, David. That quote was like, wow.
I mean, it was not surprising to any of us who were at the fundraiser. I was there. Clooney was exactly right. And every single person I talked to at the fundraiser thought the same thing, except for the people working for Joe Biden, or at least they didn't say that. But I remember my wife, Emily, turned to me after the fundraiser and said, what are we going to do? I mean, and I said, well, there's a debate in a week. Either he'll do well in the debate and we'll think, well, he was just tired because he flew all the way back from Europe and that'll be that. Or he'll be like this at the debate and then the whole country will be talking about it. And so here we are.
Wow.
Here we are. So he was there with all the elites. Julia Roberts was there, Clinton's, Obama's. They saw that man. They knew he couldn't continue, and they lied to us. They lied to us for 3 weeks. They knew when they were with him in L.A., they knew what was going to happen in the debate. It happened, and now they're saying we can't carry on. We have to make a change. And they look like, they just attended a funeral. It's an amazing thing. These people, they knew before the fundraiser. They saw all the gaffes we've seen. They've seen him fall down and stumble and shake hands with imaginary people and give a shout out to dead people or hostages who are in captivity in Gaza. They saw all that, and they hate Trump so much that they carried on and said, maybe we can carry this corpse over the finish line in November. And now they're saying, nope, can't do it. And and we know Nancy Pelosi yesterday dropped a bomb saying, we'll see what Joe Biden decides to do after Biden declared he's in the race. He's going nowhere. She said, we're not sure. That was huge. And so is this. Joe Scarborough saying Joe Biden knows Barack Obama wants him out. I don't know what Biden's response is. Maybe he has dirt on the Obamas, and we'll soon get that. Here's what I think is going to happen. Someone's going to leak the Robert Hur tapes, the tape of the interview with Biden. We saw the transcript. We've gone over it. This is where he talked about some guy losing a testicle in an industrial accident. This is where he forgot when his son died. He forgot when he was vice president. He talked about Jill Biden in a bikini. It reads like an absolute mess. The audio of that, where he's stumbling and forgetting things and forgetting names. He doesn't know the names of his closest aides, the last names. That's in the transcript. If that audio comes out, it's over. That will be devastating. In his voice, slurring and mumbling. The obviously Merrick Garland, who is a hack and a partisan, is protecting that. He is in contempt of Congress because he will not give the audio tape. But someone has it, and maybe that someone is an Obama guy, a Obama loyalist who wants Biden out. If that tape is leaked, then they're pulling out all the stops to remove Biden and install Kamala Harris before the convention. This is just glorious. I'm having too much fun here, Ironhead. I really am. And I want to know, if you're one of these, David Geffen, Katzenberger guys who was at the fundraiser and gave $30 million to the campaign 3 weeks ago, the guy who asked you for the money now says the guy you donated to has to go. Do you get your money back? Are there refunds for this? I mean, that is so telling that Clooney, who's the biggest fundraiser in the Democrat Party, who is an elite, who's a big, big donor, says the guy has to go. I mean, that's a pretty powerful voice. That's a pretty influential voice. And does anyone think Clooney had no help when he ran that, when he sold it to the New York Times, when they printed it? Does anyone think Clooney was acting on his own? Of course he wasn't. This is the response from the Biden campaign, and it's so pathetic. The Biden team, the Biden campaign, told CNN and others that Clooney shouldn't question shouldn't question Biden's stamina because Biden stayed later at the fundraiser than Clooney did. And Jake Tapper, who is just, you got to watch Jake Tapper. You got to see him. Since the debate, which he hosted, he is all out on Biden. He is done. And it's an incredible thing. He looks crestfallen every time he does a report because he knows he was part of the scam that he propped up Joe Biden for 3 years, and he knows it's over. Listen to this.
Biden aides point to an aggressive travel schedule in the coming weeks. He's set to go to Michigan on Friday, Nevada next week, as well as an aggressive fundraising schedule with events planned in Texas and Colorado and 2 in California as proof that he is not going anywhere. And in response to those comments from George Clooney, Jake, a campaign official who attended that Los Angeles fundraiser tells me that George Clooney left 3 hours before the president. So clearly the gloves are off. Jake.
What does that mean that George Clooney left 3 hours? What's the point?
The point of that is to suggest that Biden's stamina is better than Clooney's, and Clooney didn't have, eyes on the entire event. That's the response to the Clooney op-ed.
Okay, Kayla Kashi, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Look at that face. Okay, right. So George Clooney left early. He's not the president. He wasn't there to win over voters and donors. He was just there to lend his name and raise money, which he did, and he left. And because he left, the Biden campaign wants you to think Joe Biden has more stamina than George Clooney. Here's what might happen this weekend. Maybe Barack Obama will take Joe Biden, I don't know, out for a little rowboat ride to go fishing like Fredo, or maybe he'll take him paddleboarding on the vineyard. I stole that one from the Babylon Bee. That was a pretty funny one. But I want to do this other Jake Tapper cut because it's so great. This Jake Tapper would not do this a month ago. Forget a year, 2 years ago. He wouldn't do it a month ago. They're doing what we do every day. What Greg Kelly does or Jesse Waters does. They're playing the gaffes and they're pointing them out as evidence that Joe Biden is not okay. Jake Tapper's doing that now on CNN. It's a remarkable thing to watch. Watch this.
What's interesting is, of course, Speaker Pelosi knows that Biden has already made his decision and announced his decision, saying that he's staying in the race. She knows that. Remember, he declared it publicly just last Friday.
Well, let me say this clear as I can. I'm staying in the race. I'll beat Donald Trump. I will beat him again in 2020.
Your ears did not deceive you there. That's President Biden trying to assure folks concerned about his cognitive skills by saying that he's going to beat Donald Trump and win in 2020. 2020.
Oh, the long knives are out. Jake Tapper is all out on Joe Biden. And this is the day Biden goes before the media. The media, which used to be his biggest supporters. Now he's going to take tough questions. And there's lots of good questions. Many people are giving proposals or suggestions to the media. The big question, which I think is going to get him to, snap or get a little snippy, is going to be about his neurological disorders and why doesn't he take a cognitive test? I think that's going to push him over the edge. I really do. I think there'll be one or two reporters who will be there to help. But the guys we've seen the last few days just pummeling, just berating KJP, they're in the room. And she obviously didn't give honest answers. What's the answer to, Joe, you've been seeing a neurologist every month for the last year. Why? This is from Mediaite. They have all these suggestion questions. Mr. President, if your critics are right and you are suffering from a neurological condition, isn't it true that you may not necessarily know it? And thus, isn't an independent neurological exam the only way to assure the public that you have the cognitive health necessary for the job? That's a good question. And I think they're going to ask it. Next question. You've repeatedly insisted that you're the best man for the job. You told George Stephanopoulos, who's going to be able to hold NATO together? Who's going to be able to be in a position where they're able to keep the Pacific Basin in position where we're at least checkmating China? Who's going to do that? Vice President Harris? Is she the most qualified person for the job? If she's qualified, why not pass the torch to her? Oh, man, that is going to annoy Dementia Joe. And one question after the other. How about this one? And I talked about this yesterday and tweeted about it. He says, Mr. President, you're claiming you could do the single toughest job in the world until age 86, and yet the government pays full Social Security benefits at 67. If it's so normal for an 86-year-old man to operate at the highest level, isn't it fair to question why the U.S. government should be paying everyone to retire 2 decades earlier? I had a guy who was tweeting at me who was an air traffic controller, forced to retire at 56. That's when they force air traffic controllers to retire. And I got a whole bunch of people, firemen, teachers saying they were forced to retire at 65. The man running for president, running for re-election, will be 86. He would, at that age, that would be 30 years past the retirement age for air traffic controllers. Now, that's an important job. You need to be sharp, right? How about president? It's kind of important too. He wants to be president until he's 86. Hey, his best friend is shivving him in the back, Barack Obama. And it's only just begun. It's only just begun. This is just too much fun. Today, we have a debate. Might as well be a debate. It's going to be a debate. Joe Biden versus Ed O'Keefe and Peter Doocy and all the rest of them. They are sitting there right now coming up with their question or two, and they're not going to roll over. I mean, again, there'll be one or two, like that stooge that asked Karine Jean-Pierre the other day. We don't have to play it. Asked him if all the questions, stories about Joe Biden's mental condition, this reporter, quote unquote, asked Karine Jean-Pierre, do you think it's Russian disinformation? So there will be one or two of those guys who are there as plants, but he's not going to have the questions in advance. I don't think.
I was
the
going
way
to say,
he
do you think they dare give him a card with people's faces and names to call on?
That's
They
a
can't.
good point. He has to. I mean, I guess he doesn't have to know their names, but he has to call on them. He knows Peter. He knows a few of them, but he doesn't know all of them. He's not going to know which ones are plants, which ones are there to help him, and which ones are ready to blow the whole thing up. I don't know, man. I'm excited about this. I am aroused. This is going to be wild. It's been postponed an hour. It will be postponed again. Dana Perino on the 5 said they should cancel it now. They should not let him do this. I mean, there are people who said, Stephen Colbert said he shouldn't have done the debate. That was a mistake. Now, quitting or canceling a debate, that's a big deal too. Canceling the big boy press conference will be incredible. Is this the guy who asked, God, listen to this.
Denigrate politicians in the United States and elsewhere. Do you have any concerns right now that this is the leading edge of any part of a Russian effort to interfere in the election? Has the president been briefed on this? And have you seen any evidence that the Russians or other foreign powers have tried to seize on the debate performance to repeat some of the president's most embarrassing moments?
So that's a very good question.
Yeah,
Talk to our team.
That's a very good question. Do you think the Russians have seized on the debate performance? So that guy, he'll be in the room today, and he's going to absolutely blow a kiss to Joe Biden. But this thing has to go on at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half. He can't just shuffle off after 2 or 3 questions. He has to stand there and face this. And the only people who are going to be enjoying it more than I am will be Barack Obama and the Pod Save America guys who want to humiliate him out of running. That's the goal. Humiliate him until he just can't run anymore. I hope Dr. Jill is there too. I hope she's standing near the stage because it's just going to be glorious. All right, we got so much more to get to on this busy, crazy Thursday. We're here for breaking news too. If they bump the thing another hour, they can't postpone it too much, right? He has to go to bed. It's already late for him. But we got.
If you are watching now, there is a good chance if this is a disaster, we'll be live afterwards.
Yeah, we're gonna be right here. We're gonna do a quick. We're gonna jump right on here and do a show. If he implodes, if he cancels it, obviously it's not a big story. It's got nothing to say. But if he actually stands up there, and we see him just self-immolate, just light himself on fire, we will be here for it. All right, we're gonna get to this effort by the Democrats to steal the election, essentially, to get illegal aliens to vote. It was an amazing thing to watch on the House floor as one Democrat after another stood up and fought hard to make sure that illegal aliens can vote in our election. I never thought I'd see this day. I mean, I'm a skeptic. I'm a cynic. I don't have a lot of respect for elected Democrats, but this was a new low. And a prominent member of the media wants you to know he knew Joe Biden was a cognitive mess 2 years ago. He just didn't tell anyone. We'll get to that more, but first.
Excuse me.
Before we get to the most traitorous, treasonous thing I think I've ever seen, Democrats' effort to make sure illegal aliens can vote and vote for them. That's essentially what it is. Chuck Todd, Chuck Todd, as Rush Limbaugh famously called him. He has a podcast. I didn't even know this, but he was removed from his Sunday show for being a white guy, I guess. I don't even remember the reason. And replaced with Kristen Welker, who's a more devoted Democrat than he is. But Chuck was always a fraud. Chuck is a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat pretending to be a journalist. We saw it weekly on his show, which was a failure, which, was why he was fired. But he still has a podcast. And he is so, obviously, he's a big liberal. Obviously, he's a Trump hater. But I think what's more remarkable is the lack of self-awareness, just the cluelessness with which he addresses the cognitive decline of Joe Biden. We've heard lots of people say, "Oh yeah, we knew about this," but they're generally not prominent journalists. How does he not understand that he's outing himself? He's exposing himself. This is a guy who's supposed to be telling you the news, who's supposed to be telling you the truth. And he admits he knew the truth about Joe Biden years ago. He just didn't tell you. Listen to this.
It has made me want to rethink a lot of the Biden biography. I still can't believe he ran for president in the first place, given that his family was in crisis. You look at what has happened. I can't believe he put his family through this. And now looking at his behavior now in clinging to this, I think the entire narrative on Joe Biden is going to change, in that he's always been, everything has been about his ambition, and his ambition comes first.
I've been saying that for 3 years, 4 years. Chuck Todd, he just said it this week that he couldn't believe he ran and put his family through this, and he comes first. And he revealed in this podcast that a member of the cabinet, of Joe Biden's cabinet, told him that Joe Biden was struggling cognitively 2 years ago. 2 years ago, he knew that Joe Biden wasn't fit for the job. He just didn't tell you. And he says it now like, no big deal. What? Stephanopoulos, same way. These guys knew. They just didn't tell you. Again, this is the most wide-ranging cover-up in D.C. history. We're talking about the president of the United States and all these members of the media and the Democrat Party who knew what condition he was in. And they lied over and over and over again. Oh, yeah. I mean, we got that montage. Do we have that montage of them all saying that Joe is tip-top, that Joe's fine? It's amazing. One after another. Oh, yeah. He's sharp as a tack. I've talked to him. There's no problem there. They lied over and over again. As I said, let's watch.
President Biden is absolutely fit.
He has knowledge of the issues. He has strategic thinking about legislating, all in the head.
I have spoken with the president. He is fully coherent. He is on top of details.
He's sharp. He's fit. He's always answering questions.
I think that Joe Biden's mental acuity is very, very on. He's one of the smartest, sharpest people I've met in D.C.
There's no doubt in my mind that the president is mentally fit for office.
Joe Biden rightly says that he has grown very wise in his many decades in public office.
As it stands today, you believe that President Biden is clear, candid, and convincing?
100%. Joe Biden needs to be allowed to be Joe Biden. He is energizing. He cares about issues. He's Joe Biden. And Joe Biden, there's nobody better than Joe Biden.
We see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issues, how informed he is. And I debate with him about legislation, and not debate, but discuss it with him. He's right there.
I strongly support President Biden. He has an incredible track record of success and accomplishments.
Puts many of us to shame with his energy.
Clearly, this president is fit to serve.
Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker. This is a very sharp president.
And nobody is better equipped to do that than Joe Biden. He has the experience, he has the wisdom, he has the demeanor.
I was in Israel on October 7th, as you know, and President Biden was nice enough to call me. And I can tell you, this was the day before that interview, I can tell you he was sharper than anyone I've spoken to.
It always seemed very clear to me that he had the energy and the ability.
Is he capable of being a president? Absolutely.
I think he's actually really good. I think his staff overprotects him. I think put him out there in a press conference. Who cares if someone makes a gaffe?
What I find interesting is that issue is more around ageism and ableism, and not what this President Biden has done.
I think he has every ability and every confidence to continue to be commander-in-chief.
I think the more he's out there, the better.
President Biden has proven himself to have a strong memory.
You don't do that unless you're mentally competent and capable, and he certainly is.
One after another. Most of these are from the last month, 2 months. They're just lying. They knew they were lying, but they thought they could get away with it for a few more months. This is so great. This is
He's
what
doing
we
the
needed.
goodest job that he can, Jerry.
He's doing the goodest job he can. Yes, always doing the goodest job he can. To win the election in 2020. And today, you better be ready, Ironhead. Today, we're going to get a whole new slew of Biden gaffes. We're all going to be like Donald Trump. I don't know what he just said. I don't think he knows what he just said.
I find myself looking more forward to the fallout and like what the MSNBC says afterwards.
Me too, because they can't do it anymore. They can't, and there'll be a few, Japanese soldiers on the island sitting there saying, he's just a stutter, like the guy the other day on NBC. Don't you think it's a stutter? Isn't it just natural for people to occasionally forget names? Again, we can't. None of them think Joe Biden could do 4 more years or even 1 more year. None of them. Not one. Not one. Dr. Jill knows it. Hunter knows it. Everyone knows he can't do 1 more year, let alone 4 more years. All right. We will. I'm still monitoring it, waiting for the next postponement. But again, how late can they go? He can't do 7, 8. That's way too late. The debate was at 9, which is one of the reasons he was so out of it. But they're one after another telling you Joe Biden's fine, tip top, sharp as a tack. Remember that next time you hear any of those frauds. They're all liars. They're all power drunk liars. Speaking of which, we got to get to this SAVE Act, one of the most treasonous things I think I've ever seen. And it explains why. It explains why Rachel Marin and Jocelyn Nungaray and Molly Tibbetts and Kate Steinle had to die. The Democrats needed the votes.
Excuse me.
If you weren't paying attention yesterday during the day, this SAVE Act, which is basically, it is not complicated. You have to prove you're an American citizen to vote in American elections. That's all. That's it. Sound right? Sound good? 81% of the public approves of this, supports this. 81%. You can't get 81% of people to agree, the sky is blue, you can't get 81% of people to agree on anything in this country these days. But everybody knows this is essential. Everyone knows only Americans should vote in American elections. But as we've been talking about for 3.5 years, they allowed in 12 to 15 million illegal aliens. And when we talked about it, whether it was about illegal aliens, beating up cops in New York City or murdering women jogging in Georgia. So why are they doing this? And it was simple. They want voters. They want future Democrat voters. It is the most heartless, cruel, callous political calculation I've ever seen. We let in people, criminals, gang members from Venezuela, Ecuador, and Mexico. We let in military-age men from China and Syria and Tajikistan, all so that they will get here and they will get a voter registration card, they will get a social security card, and they will vote for Democrats. That's it. How any decent person could still support this party is beyond me. I think I've made it clear that I don't like my elected officials. I have the worst Congresswoman, Ayanna Pressley. I have the 2 of the worst senators, Liz Warren, Ed Markey. They all support this. 9 Congresspeople in Massachusetts, all 9, voted against this. All the New England Congresspeople, except Jared Golden in Maine, voted against this. They want illegals to vote. I would open it up. Anybody got another reason, an explanation for why you would vote against this? You would vote against a law that would assure secure elections where only Americans vote for American in American elections. Why would you do this other than the fact that you want to cheat? There's no other reason. And yet they brazenly took the floor, they took to the mic, and they said, this is, I don't know what, this is worse than Jim Crow. It's madness what we're living through. And I mean, I haven't been mugged. None of my family members have been murdered by an illegal alien. I think of Lake and Riley's family. We saw them. We heard from them. I think of Rachel Marin's 5 children. They don't matter to these despicable opportunists. They don't matter. It doesn't matter that schools have been overwhelmed, that hospitals have been overwhelmed, that taxpayers are paying billions and billions of dollars to house and feed these illegal aliens because they hope these illegal aliens will vote for them. How does that not disqualify you in the minds, the hearts of decent Americans? I mean, at least 70 million people will vote for the people who want to cheat, who want illegal aliens here and don't care about Lake and Riley or Rachel Marin, don't care about their schools, their hospitals, don't care about tax money, billions and billions going to pay for people who shouldn't be here. They're here for one reason, to vote in our elections, to vote for Democrats. There's no other reason. And what we saw yesterday was so revealing. Now, it's we'll get to the vote. We'll get to the people who voted against this. But just listen, this is one example. I think her name is Janet McClellan, a Democrat from Virginia. Of course, an affluent white female. Make a case. I mean, it's one thing, I guess, to vote against this, but to stand up and passionately speak out against a measure that will only allow Americans to vote in American elections. What other country would do this? What other country in the history of the world would do this? There's only here, only Democrats. Listen to this lunatic.
This bill is essentially a poll tax because I am not aware of a single proof of citizenship document that does not cost an individual money to get it, unless we are requiring every state to provide one for free, and then it's an unfunded mandate. This is the 2024 version of the Jim Crow poll tax, and we should vote against it.
Amazing. They're going to tell you that black people or people of color don't have IDs. The most racist thing I've ever heard. They're not smart enough. They don't have the resources to get an ID. I mean, they have IDs. Everyone has an ID. And if you don't, you can get one for free. But they don't care. They will lie, flat out lie. There it is, right here on your screen. The result on this common sense bill. Republicans all voted yes. 216. Democrats, 5 yeas, 198 noes. Almost 200 Democrats voted to allow illegal aliens to vote in our elections. What? Any theories? Anything? Anyone on the little chat line? I mean, anyone have a theory other than they are blatantly, brazenly admitting their goal is to get illegal aliens to vote. They say, oh, it's already illegal for illegal aliens to vote. Right. It's already illegal for illegal aliens to be here. That doesn't stop them. And why else do they want them here? Any theories? It's true. You can't ever count them out. The polls are disastrous for Democrats right now, which is why the rats are jumping from the ship. I got the latest Cook, which is a nonpartisan polling political analysis firm, and they are now. This is amazing. Right now, the Cook report says it's shifted Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada from toss-up to lean Republican. Minnesota and New Hampshire from likely Democrat to lean Democrat, and Nebraska's 2nd congressional district from likely to lean Democrat. The polls are shifting, and it ain't good for Democrats. And their solution? Get the 15 million illegals who came here to vote for us. They said it out loud yesterday. That should infuriate. I don't even understand why it doesn't piss off everybody what we witnessed yesterday. They don't care that they're overwhelming cities. They don't care they're killing women out for a jog. If that's what it takes to get them, to keep them in power, they're willing to do it. It is infuriating. You want to, and those are the same people telling you Trump is a threat to democracy, that MAGA Republicans are a threat to that a 3-hour, 4-hour riot on Capitol Hill was a insurrection. This is an insurrection. This is a real threat to democracy, and I hope it blows up on them. It's not going to pass the Senate because the Senate Democrats are just as treasonous, and Joe Biden has promised to veto it anyway. So it was symbolic in many ways, but it was good. It was a great idea for Chip Roy and others to push this and force the vote, because we get to see why they have allowed 15 million illegals to walk into this country for the last 3.5 years. This is another devastating number. Throw this up on the screen. Here's why all this analysis of, say, why is Trump doing so well in the black community? Why are young voters flocking to Trump? And they try to make it about Trump or make it about personalities or charisma or whatever, company. It's about this more than anything else. Since Joe Biden took office, and you hear Democrats say, "Oh, the economy's great." Well, if you're buying things, if you're paying your bills, you don't feel it. I mean, here it is. Since Biden took office, gas is up 49%, electricity 32%, fuel oil 46%, hotels 52%, groceries, that's the big one, 21%, eating out 22%, baby food 30%, kindergarten through 12 food 65%, rent 21%, used cars 21%. Real average weekly earnings down 3.6%. That should be a Trump ad. Just that picture right there. They are gaslighting the world about the economy. This is what matters. That is why there's been a shift. That is why all the demographics, black community, Hispanic community, young people are moving toward Trump, because they go to the store and they pay those prices and they know they know Joe Biden did that. That's what they know. But there won't be any questions about that today. They'll all be about Joe Biden's cognitive ability. That is going to be wild when you think about it. His answer, the words aren't going to matter. It's his appearance. It's his ability to enunciate. It's his level of confusion. That's all on display today. And I think they have no choice but to go through with this. And by tonight at 8:00, it could be over. It could be over. And I'm not going to lower the bar too far, because that's a mistake too. But everyone's going to watch and say, can that man serve 4 more years? I think the answer is going to be, he can't serve 4 more months, but we'll see. I'm going to get another thrill at my leg, like Chris Matthews with Keith Olbermann here when they heard Barack Obama speak. Listen to this.
Always speak before Barack Obama, not after Barack Obama.
I have to tell you, it's part of reporting this case, this election. The feeling most people get when they hear a Barack Obama speech, I felt this thrill going up my leg. I mean, I don't have that too often.
Steady.
No, seriously, it's a dramatic event. He speaks about America in a way that has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with the feeling we have about our country.
Keith Olbermann is like, calm down, Chris, calm down. Yeah. That's Keith Olbermann, who hasn't bailed on Biden yet. That's going to come soon. But I got a thrill at my leg today when Joe Scarborough told us Biden knows Barack Obama is behind this revolt. This is just getting so damn good. And it's going to get better tonight, 6:30, maybe 7, 7:30, 8, who knows? The White House mortician has some work to do. They got to get his face all orange. They got to get him hair just right, the plugs. They got to get the suit. Everything has to be just right. And then they have to show him how to get on the stage and off the stage. That's important for Joe Biden. But we will be watching. And if it's big, we'll let you know. I'll tweet it out. Ironhead will tweet it out. We'll be here if this thing blows up on Joe Biden. But that will do it for this show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for commenting. Look at all these comments. I should have got to those. I was just too fired up. Any good ones? It's true. It's true. They're all liars and they're cowards and they're I'm not going to go. I'm not going to keep going. I can't. This friggin' SAVE Act is driving me nuts. But I'll leave it there. Thanks, Ironhead. I'm Jerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Show.